Hello, welcome to my interview with Helen Hye Sook Hwang, who is a PhD. She advocates the consciousness of Mago, the creatrix, as an original vision of humankind and its cultures, which is by itself a blessing to all beings and an antidote to patriarchal calamities. Helen is the author of the Mago Almanac, and she also creates content about Goddess Mago and about our relationship with time, as well as matriarchal principles and communities. And I feel very lucky that Helen has invited the Mount Shasta Goddess Temple to participate in following her excellent Mago Almanac. And we are beginning to incorporate our charting of the moon and the 24 seasons that are part of the Mago Almanac into our work this year. Helen, welcome, and thank you so much for inviting our temple to participate in this exciting work. I wanted today to invite you to tell us a little bit about Mago and the Mago work and why it calls to you.
Hi, nice meeting with you, Ishi. And okay, let's open up the conversation about Mago. This is the name, actually, rather than a personal name of the goddess, but a general name, like a common name, a word that stands for the creatrix or the great mother, you see? So it's not a particular name of the goddess. So there could be a little confusion in it. But historically, this creatrix, Mago, manifests as a historical woman, of a certain period, certain, locality. So there are two things here, actually a little bit complex, but they are all flexible. You can see, flexibility between the creatrix and her shamans or priestesses, right? That's about Mago. And the Mago work, that's what you want to introduce to your women. It's been 19 years since I first heard of the name Mago, and the book, actually the principal text of Magoism, which I call the Budoji. It's been 19 years. So I am going to summarize my work of the 19 years, because that's what it means, the Mago work. I have been an academic for, I guess, it's a long story, but I'm not going to get into it. I have a book called The Mago Way, and there are 3 parts. The first part is about myself, my history. The personal is political and cosmic. So I have the story there. And up to, let's say, 2010, approximately, that I thought my area of focus is in academia. So I followed, academic writings, conferences, associations. But then there meant to be another one, which I didn't know till then, which is the social media, that I ventured out slowly, gradually, and I had no clue what was going to be. And that means a Facebook activity, major, it continues. Anyhow, 2012, I began a journal, online journal, which is called Return to Mago, e-magazine. So it's been how many years? 6 years, 7 years, and that's major branch. And then I have, after that, well, I cannot do it. I couldn't do it by myself, right? So there were volunteers and sisters whom I call now Mago Sisters. There is a group actually who are dedicated to actually to come around to understand what I am going to do, and then they help out of their own commitment to this work. And we are running the Mago work based on the principle of gift economy, the way that Genevieve Vaughn advocated. So it's basically volunteers. And if I had focused on sort of income generating, I don't think I would have come this far, because that was a secondary thing. So from Return to Mago e-magazine, I began, I don't know what I began. Probably I began Mago Books, Mago Academy. I began actually a blog for, goddess, feminist, activists, and spiritual practitioners. They could promote their events, which is called Mago Pearl Circle and all this. So basically, the Mago work refers to a collection of these activities together, So there are lots of online activities plus physical activities. For example, I'm leading let's call international group of Mago pilgrims to Korea annually, right? So there is a physical activities, connections, and those who come for that pilgrimage, they're very special. We cross the boundaries, a lot of boundaries, differences, and I think it is meant to be. Whoever comes to, including you, Ishi, now we are doing this one. So I take you and others who come along the path, and they are basically sacred for me and very special sisters. I guess, yes, I hope that helps your question or answer. Is that okay?
Yes. It hardly seems fair to ask you to summarize 19 years of work in such a short time, but you did beautifully. And I'm so inspired to hear about your commitment, of course, to gift economy and to sharing and helping people to understand that our relationship to time and our relationship to the Great Mother is our natural birthright, and how you're trying to create opportunities for people from all cultures to have access to this wisdom. And one of the things that I noticed that you say a lot in your work is you refer to all in we. And could you explain that a little bit? All in we.
Sure. We in uppercase, right? We, all in we. We is uppercase. Your question actually has to do with the time and space. It's the consciousness, or it's a cosmological perspective that let's focus I. When I say I not against over the other, but I as a one of us, right? In that sense, have come into a notion that is called we. It's all in uppercase. We / here / now. You see? So in this perspective, you see the whole thing as at a one glass. It's a whole thing. It's undividable. It's uplifting. I mean, let's unfold it, open-ended. If I say this one, I think hopefully you can grasp the idea very quickly. In Mago is cosmology. the universe has no end, no beginning, no end, right? It's open-ended. Yeah, can you
Yes.
follow that one?
Yes.
Then it's open-ended, and then there is a light. That light, meaning our sight, our perspective, focuses on one word. Well, one, because it's open-ended, there is a focus.
Mm.
And our focus is, see, our time, I call Mago time, meaning the time of the creatrix, right? And here, if you see the things, you see the whole thing, the whole as one, as a unified reality. It's actually, for me, that's not just a concept, but that's reality that holds together everything. We are all connected, right? I'm not talking about like living beings, plants and animals, but I'm talking about elements too, like rocks. I mean, it goes deeply into microcosmic world, you see?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there up to macrocosmic world. So these are all interconnected. When I say all in we, meaning that each element as a unified reality. So like always the bond, with the, not only, the individuals that we see, but the totality, like air, water, fire. And those are the basic elements that we are in. So I think it could be a rhetoric too to introduce my thinking or the Magoist thinking. But once you can follow that, you will see it's not just my theory, because you can see the reality from your perspective the same way, all in we. So that's what it means. I hope it explains your question. Yeah.
It does. And I'm reflecting on what you're saying, and I'm nodding, enthusiastically, because in our temple, we also embrace this idea of the animistic, immediate, eternal now, which is like more than just the fabric of space and time, but it's the fabric of space and time and beigness. And in
yes.
in our temple, we study many different traditions: shamanistic, animistic, Buddhist.
Mm-hmm.
And so through looking in these multiple different lenses, what we've come to here in this temple is an awareness that there is no single one of us without all of us. And so I feel like, so affirmed in hearing your description, which I think is so elegant, of all capital letters, we, here, now, because it's not merely the who, the when, or the where. It's who, when, where together that makes reality what we experience in the moment. So thank you so much for unpacking that. Yeah. Thank you. Well, I did have a question. You are the author of the Mago Almanac. I have here my copy, and I am enjoying it so much. In the Mago Almanac, I have found with a lot of joy that you described the 24 seasonal marks of the calendar. And in a private conversation previously that you and I had, you said something that I thought was just genius. You said in the West, you observe the 8 seasonal holidays, the typical 8 pagan holidays in the wheel of the year. And you said, but in Asia, we observe 24 seasonal holidays. And you said you're basically missing 2/3 of your calendar, which I just thought was so perspective building. It was very helpful for me. And then I was looking through the 24 seasons here, and I wondered if maybe you could tell us a little bit about the 24 seasons and how they relate with the phases of the moon that you describe in the Mago Almanac.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 24 seasons. Basically, there are two different tracks when we say seasonal marks. Can you hear me, by the way, clearly?
Yeah.
My computer says my internet was unstable, so I was a little bit concerned, but I'm so glad. There are two tracks. One is that that is 24 seasons, and that is based on the Earth's movement, revolution around the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And the moon is another track that we can count the time. Is the moon revolves around the Earth. There are two tracks. For the moon, that we count a day, because basically, now I'm getting okay without seeing the chart, that I gotta imagine this chart in my head so that I can say correctly. The moon has, these are two different tracks, and I'm putting them together. Actually, I'm not sure anyone else have put them together. 24 seasons gives us a sense of a year, right? 365 days that goes. So that will determine 13 moons, right? 13 moons, because moons, in order to complete a circle, a lunation, it's called the lunar cycle, which is called lunation. So one lunation takes 28 days on average. Let's say, well, I am very tempted to get into a menstruation cycle right now, but your question didn't include it. But anyhow, so this 24 seasons gives us a sense of a year, right? And then the moon, 28 days. So this, if we put these together, we have 13 months for a year. So it's likely that I have a chart, right? That's going to be included actually in the logbook that is coming for next year, actually. But why not this year? Some of us already have begun to follow 2019 13-month calendar. So I created that chart, lunar menstruation chart for this year, basically, putting together. If you see them, it's on page 11, right? You will see on page 11 in one chart. It goes, on the top. It go from 1 month, first moon to the 13th moon. Well, it's not in here. It's in the PDF that I sent.
That we're going to share, yeah.
And then 28 days. You will see how they are, regularly interacting. But this is the part that it's very newest insight that it came to my mind that I want to underscore, is that this accuracy or precision that we are trying to see, it's not mechanical accuracy. You know what I mean? It's not like a machine. Machine repeats the same thing, right? It's boring. It's there's a new thing. It's predictable, but and then mostly the machine doesn't interact with the environment, right? Well, whereas our cycles, lunar cycle, menstruation cycle, these are cycles of living beings that they interact with the environment. There are odds and changes, right? So it's not mechanical accuracy that we are talking about, but it's precision that is so reliable, so steady on average, because, you know, like look at the tree that we don't know. Sometimes, you know, a storm came and it might cut one of the branches, right? It's unexpected art or changes in order to survive in nature. The climate, it changes. So there are constant incoming, let's say, stimuli or causes to the effect to the tree, but then tree responds to it. So that's why what I'm saying, a tree cycle, let's say, I don't know, they make that the tree rim that it responds to it differently, right, when those changes come upon the tree. Like the same as moon. You know, if we look at the moon's orbit, it's interestingly in the West, the moon's orbit is not known much. I guess if you really get into it, then you are. But generally, nobody talks about the moon's orbit. But we will be, because we are dealing with the lunation now. We will be. So moon, we actually by using the 13 moon calendar, we are going with the moon as well as the women's menstruation cycle on the path of moon moves, you know. Then I realized that moon's path, it will not going for the same, like what do you call that, amusement park that the machine just goes into the same, what you call that one? I cannot remember the name. No, never like that. The moon's route, moon's orbit changes every month. Sometimes it goes like, next month, maybe the angle changes slightly. So it swings back, back and forth, spiral journey, we call that one. But yeah, generally spiral journey. But when we really look at really closely, it looks like irregular, like women's menstruation too, right? Yeah. Sometimes 27 days, 28 days, 29 days. Right. But if we look at it in a prolonged, period of time, that we see this menstruation. Also, we will see it's because we are living being, we're living being, that we're like trees, that it's reliable, it's precise. You know what I mean? It's our perspective that we can adjust. We're not really like getting into. Actually, that's I would say a patriarchal, compartmentalized. You see only one, like a solipsistic perspective. That you don't care. You are just, segregated from the rest. So that's not the way it is. So, the moon cycle, the lunar cycle, and the 24 season cycle, you will see it if we translate the points on a chart. You will see that they dance. It's a dance and it's a rhythm, and it's the way of life that is self-creating, evolving, and moving on. And it's playful, it's fun for me, and I'm sure it is for others too.
I love the way you described this.
Yeah, is that
it is? It's so healing to hear your words. What I hear you saying is that the Mago Almanac and the decision to return to following the 24 seasons of the earth, the 13 lunations of the moon, and the natural monthly seasons of the female body is a way of organizing ourselves around organic precision, which is separate from mechanical precision. And where mechanical precision is the patriarchal kind of controlling mechanisms, the organic precision of the female body and of nature herself is always a self-arising power. So there's no applied power or force. It's just a naturally evolving movement. And so I'm feeling like I feel the joy when you say that, because I think so many of us feel compartmentalized, alone, and separate in our little boxes, or you might even think our little cubicles. You know, if you're working in a cubicle environment, everyone's in that little single gray cell and looking at the clock, all hoping for 5 o'clock to come. Whereas what I'm hearing you describe with the Mago Almanac and this way of following and relating to time, it's more like each of us is a little bee in a wax cell, but we're part of a hive, we're part of a colony, and we share an organic rhythm that is co-creative, not only ourselves, but with the entire colony and the whole environment around us, and in fact, the whole cosmos, which is really refreshing. And it brings to my mind something that I've heard more than one shamanic teacher say, which is, you know, in different ways, they've said it. Shuni Hiron said it to me about the Mayan calendar, and I've heard from you about the Mago Almanac, and I've heard it from other places. But when we talk in the West, especially, about the need to decolonize the mind, to me, our relationship with time is one of the most important things that we can decolonize. Because if we can decolonize our relationship to time, and we can decolonize our relationship to that patriarchal overlay, then we are freer to self-arise with co-creative solutions to world's problems, co-creative solutions to some of the things that have sort of separated us from each other. When you are doing this work with the Mago Almanac and the calendar, you've mentioned charting our menstrual cycles as part of that, as part of decolonizing our relationship to time. Can you tell us a little bit more about how the charting of the menstrual cycle might be a helpful addition for any woman or anybody who supports women, and our work on uniting our bodies, you know, and coming back to that cosmic order? What can we do to try to, you know, create that kind of a menstrual calendar, and why is it important for us to do that?
Sure. You summarized the idea very clearly, so I am very happy. But you know, at the same time, that makes me spin too. Like there are a few things that I want to add, but due to the time constraint, I'm not gonna go over about the menstrual lunar menstrual chart. The importance of this one, I learned that there has been actually a lunar menstruation chart that other, you know, goddess practitioners doing it. What's different about this is we are working in the 13 moon chart. It's not, we're not using the Gregorian, you know, calendar, right? So there's a big difference. I mean, we're doing the same. Idea is the same, but the most important thing is why the 13-month calendar, that we need to get into that, right? Why? And that's the whole key. And then once we get that thing taken, then we will see the menstruation cycle. It's just one element. It just goes with the moon and the 24 seasons. It's the bond. It's the bond between I am actually aiming to restore the bond or link between the lunation and menstruation. Well, that's not it. In a patriarchal calendar, which is 12 months. See, 12. I say that the calendar that sets 12 months as 1 year in origin is patriarchal. You know, my book, a forthcoming book, actually, that will explain about the Magoist calendar, which is the Magoist calendar is the framework that sees the 13 months and 12 days within a year, and that's the Magoist calendar. Actually, it's the same as the 13 moon total calendar of the Native American indigenous peoples, right? These are the two same things. But Mago, when we say Mago Almanac, that I want the Magoist calendar in practice. I want us to practice. It's not just the, as a principle that is learned. We want to really get into it. We just don't want to look at it, understanding that's it. But I want to make it really in our reality, small reality, in our reality. That way that one way to do it is to translate the Gregorian dates into the Magoist calendar dates. You know what I mean? And that's why this year is year 2, next year, year 3. But the year 1, first lunation, is based on the new moon of the December solstice month. So, that's how, do you know what I mean? So it anchors Mago time, the time of the creatrix, which I call we here now, that reality, right? That big one unified reality now into in our time, that we want to see it in a tangible way. We can say today's what day, today's, and so the Mago Almanac catches that moment that this the Magoist calendar enters into our life. It gives a fresh breath to the Magoist calendar, so that the Magoist calendar can guide us. Actually, once we begin to use Mago Almanac, then a lot of things are done by itself. Actually, we just go along with it. It's a wheel. When it's a wheel, the work, we're working with archetypes, right? We're not working with a little theory, but it's something. We're working with a paradigm. When we say the calendar, it's the whole paradigm. Actually, it's one of the most comprehensive and encompassing matrix. It's not even content, it's the text itself. It's the text itself that has myriads of contexts in it. So once we get into it, and by connecting the lunation and menstruation within the chart, that's the chart. So the chart has a purpose of visualizing of this thing that I'm saying, that we will see the dance of the moon, dance of menstruation, dance of seasons. It's like, we're not just, we shouldn't be mistaken by saying this is only lunar calendar. No, because insofar as we deal with 1 year as 365 days, and that's always solar calendar. So I am saying this is the lunar, solar, female calendar. These are 3. So 24 seasons remind us that we are working with the solar time too, because that's how the earth involves the sun. So we see the dance of these three major, let's say, guys. They are the leading rhythm. Actually, it's the rhythm, right? There are three rhythms. Well, there are two rhythms coming from outside, and then one rhythm that we will add is coming from our biology, by our by so putting it together, and it's a cosmic act. You put the female biological cycle into the moon cycle, which is in sync with the 24 seasons, right? Within the 13 moon calendar. And this is sort of the whole thing. The major things are exposed, what really guides us in our life, in our ultimate reality. And this is the calendar that, according to my research, that the patriarchal rulers and leaders don't want to be known, because it's relied on the female biology, right? That's the part that they want to remove. And once we use it, then we get to understand the human civilization, right? It's based on, we can dare to say, the human civilization relies on the cycle of female biology. This is a big statement, human civilization. And that's the power of the calendar work. See? Yeah. We see the whole thing. It's not just personal level, but we see the history, civilization, whole thing from this. It's not really female perspective per se. I mean, female in small character. It's lower K. That's not what I mean. It's a female that is supported in sync with the cosmic rhythm. Right. See? Right. So it's the female is elevated, not only just elevated by this lunar rhythm, but actually that's how we understand the universal rhythm, the cosmic rhythm. Yes. Through the women's biological factors, and it's the channel, right? Without it, it can be, the month can be, 13, 15, 18, right. We don't want to go that far. It's a variation, but we want to bring it down to the focus is the female body, and that's the place that the life actually for humans comes, right? The female body. And there where the creatrix is associated with, like Mago is known as the birth grandmother in Korean shamanism, and she's related. So this is the sort of the core factors in our very being, or in our very thinking of life, a civilization, and it's a big thing, yet it's very, very personal too. I see there is no dichotomy between our thinking. It's microcosmic, at the same time it's macrocosmic, you see. Yeah. And there's abundance, always abundance in thinking, and we are never left sourceless. Right. We are just, this is the bliss, actually. It's the bliss. It's the paradise is not lost. Actually, paradise is lost in patriarchy. Right. The paradise is with us. Now this is what's about bringing. We are entering into that reality. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I loved hearing all that, and really it's giving me so much to think about. As you were describing this microcosm and macrocosm, I thought about how the cosmic universe that we inhabit is like the womb of Mago, and we are like the babies in that womb. Mm-hmm. But then inside that, there might be a pregnant woman, and in her belly is the baby, and the baby in the that's growing in her belly, for that baby, the mother's womb is Mago. And then that baby, if it's a female child, already has all of the eggs inside that she will ever have. And so then for all her potential children, her, her fetal form is the Mago of the future. So it's like you can see all these microcosms and macrocosms. We're already in the womb of the mother, and then each of our wombs contains the potential for endless futures. And I understand so much better this idea of we here now from your description. And you speak of these things with such elegance and such grace after studying them for so long. These are concepts that I think probably many people haven't really thought of, especially people raised with the Gregorian patriarchal calendar. Well, I know that we are going to talk to you again, Helen Hye Sook Hwang. It is the year 5916 in the Mago era, 2019 in the Gregorian. The Mago Almanac is going to be available, and I'll include the link in my post about this of where to purchase if they wanted to buy their own copy of the Mago Almanac. If people are interested in receiving a free PDF so that you can learn more about the Mago calendar and have a helpful chart so that you can track your own menstrual cycles for the rest of this year, it would be really great if you can email me or contact the temple, and I'll happily provide you with the PDF. And at the end of the year, we can share our data about our cycles and how we've charted them, and we can discuss this further. And in my daily emails to the temple, I'm now including every day where we are in the lunar cycle, and when we approach each of the 24 seasonal marks that are listed in this almanac, I'll be sharing those as well. Thank you so much, Helen. I could talk to you for hours. We will definitely interview you again, and we've so appreciated your time today.
Sure. It has been a pleasure, and I appreciate this time very much, Ish.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.